At Fide.email, we believe in protecting your privacy and supporting your faith. Fide.email offers peace of mind with features like end-to-end encryption and secure communications tools. Your data stays private and your values remain intact. Choose an email provider that understands what matters to you. Make the switch to Fide.email today.
The ongoing health situation and its consequences involving Pope Francis has really taken our attention as Catholics away from certain issues that need to be addressed, usually through prayer and maybe some peaceful direct action. And in this case, contacting the bishop in question in this story, as well as the figures who run the Catholic University you're about to hear about. Because there's a bishop in the United States who for the past month has been silent on a public blaspheming of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And it takes real cowardice for a Catholic bishop to quietly let this happen. Not to mention the general gumption, the unbelievable being out of touch with basic reality and basic Christian truth for any self-described Christian to level attacks on the Blessed Virgin Mary. And this is not a debating on the various Marian dogmas question. This is obscene and utterly blasphemous in a way that should unite Christians of all stripes in opposition to what's going on. But because it takes and involves the current chosen people in the secular culture, they get a pass in the name of free expression and all the rest of it. At universities, students have much less free expression than they do in other places. And even then, an old Christian axiom applies. Error has no rights. And we're not talking about using the mechanisms of government to silence somebody. We're asking that the bishop do his job and protect Catholic spaces from attacks on the Blessed Virgin Mary. And for whatever reason, the bishop in our story today doesn't have the spine to do it. Let's go for some context here. For this unfortunate headline, it's a LifeSite headline. Michigan University under fire for blasphemous image mocking Our Lady of Guadalupe. Students and Republican lawmakers are blasting Grand Valley State University for displaying a blasphemous image of Our Lady of Guadalupe that includes obscene pro-James Martin images, including a man in his underpants and two dudes kissing on Our Lady's dress. And you can kind of see the image back there. I'm not going to show too much of it by itself because, again, it's blasphemous. But you'll note here the article was initially published on the 3rd of February. We need a reminder of what was going on in the church in America at that time. We were knee-deep in the discussion of USAID, Catholic Charities, and what looked like the U.S. government essentially buying the loyalty of our bishops. If you've ever wondered why it is the American bishops don't speak the truth about these things, it's because of that. They are too afraid of offending the culture and losing access to their money. That's the only explanation of why they would surrender on every real issue the church faces in America, and then weirdly either remain silent on those contentious issues or even side with Caesar and the diabolical stain on this culture imparted by Caesar in these moral questions. It's time for the bishops to actually do their jobs. I said it a moment ago that it was a Catholic university. It's a state university. But here is the key detail. It involves an image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and images superimposed on Our Lady of Guadalupe, words and images. From the article, quote, "The images in question are digitally modified depictions of Our Lady of Guadalupe apparition, which Catholics venerate as a sacred image. The quote-unquote art includes phrases in Spanish spread across images of Our Lady that when translated to English mean, fear of the James Martin type is lethal, no more slaying of the ladies, and the interest of the flesh, among other vulgar and pro-James Martin terms, such as the term used by the culture for the confused. What appears to be confused about the flesh person, as well as a man in his underpants and two dudes kissing, can also be seen on Our Lady's dress. In one image, the words, 'My son is a James Martin type, and I am proud of him,' appear on Our Lady's face." End quote. on Our Lady's face. A statement saying, my son is of a James Martin crowd, on Our Lady's face. What does that sound like? That is an implication of our Lord. We've seen this in Europe before, where bishops and priests have allowed in their parishes and cathedrals art depicting our Lord in such manner, including in activities that are unmentionable. And now we have this in a university in the United States. Republican lawmakers were chiming in going, hey, guys, what are you doing? Why is this being allowed? Not all of them Catholic. Because at the end of the day, this should prick the conscience of every single self-described Christian. Now, that initial story was from February 3rd. Update. Headline from LifeSite. Michigan Catholics rebuke bishop for refusing to condemn blasphemous, quote, art, mocking Our Lady. Catholics in West Michigan lamented to LifeSite News that Bishop David Walkowiak has remained silent instead of defending the honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary and denouncing blasphemous images at Grand Valley State University. There is your bishop who lacks the courage to defend the honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary, to defend the honor of our Lord by implication. Because our culture's chosen few have demanded the right to attack. It is his job to defend the faith. Unless, of course, he believes he is just branch manager of Catholic NGO Incorporated, where his main mission is not to spread the gospel, to teach the truths of the faith and rebuke sinners, but instead to give federal government money for certain programs, including ones that the general public is highly opposed to at this time. I hope this bishop finds the courage to speak the truth. The article, quote, Bishop David Walkowiak is under fire for failing to publicly condemn a blasphemous display that was installed at a university in his diocese. Lay Catholics who live in West Michigan told LifeSite today that not only has Walkowiak shamefully remained silent instead of defending the honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary, but that he has failed in his solemn duty to provide leadership for his flock. Does the bishop love Our Lady? Does he know or care about the First Saturday devotion? And how she explicitly asked at Fatima that we should make reparation for sins committed against her sacred image. Meredith Burrell, a mother of four, told LifeSite, why do we lay people always seem to fight alone? He's originally from Cleveland, was tapped by Pope Francis to oversee the Diocese of Grand Rapids in 2013. Grand Rapids is the state's second largest city in terms of population, behind Detroit. LifeSite first reported on the sacrilegious display on February 3rd. It was installed at Grand Valley State University Kirkhoff Student Center on its campus in Allendale, which is about 12 miles west of Grand Rapids. The school receives nearly $100 million in taxpayer dollars per year and had brought the image from alumni Erlanda Beltran. Two Republican state representatives, as well as Grand Valley student Noah Mullins, were furious with the image. Mullins had been in touch with the school for several months, calling them to take it down, as one part of the image includes two dudes sharing a kiss. Other woke James Martin type slogans are also visible. The Catholic Church teaches that the misuse or tampering with sacred images is a grave offense to God and rejects the James Martin sin and ideology of the flesh as grave evils. End quote. And the bishop does nothing. Remains silent. As of the time of the recording of this, he hasn't even issued a statement. It's amazing. Maybe he's too busy dealing with the migration issue. After all, Cardinal Cupich, who is not far, his diocese is not that far from Cardinal Cupich, has declared and gotten most of the bishops to acquiesce on this, that is now suddenly the preeminent image or preeminent issue in the church in America. Not the sacrifice of the most vulnerable to Moloch like it had always been. Maybe he's caught up in the partisan nature of this. After all, the Republican lawmakers got involved. You'd think, because there are Democrats in this state legislature there, you'd think they'd be upset by this too, but unfortunately, they're not, for whatever their own reason is. Let me know in the comments if you've seen, if there's any reason to believe that the bishop there will take a firm stand ever, if he'll ever be pressured into it. By the time you're seeing this, it's a month after the thing went up initially, after the initial story went up. A month. This update was just from a few days ago. Nothing has happened to him. The bishop has done nothing on this issue. It's time for Catholics to stop putting up with this. Let me know in the comments whether you think what a good way you think for the laity to respecting the office the man holds, to make their voice heard and to get him to change what he's doing. Let me know in the comments, please. And like and subscribe if you haven't. It certainly helps us. Sharing this on social media, that helps too. And if you've ever thought about supporting the work of Return to Tradition, there are description and options in the description box below. They include Patreon and Subscribestar, or you can hit that join button below. It does help keep these daily messages and live streams coming. And as always, pray for the church, including this bishop, because we're not here to rile you up against him. We're here to motivate you to pray for his salvation and to pray and engage in the First Saturday's devotion for reparation against sins explicitly like this one mentioned here in this video. As always, again, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.